At the dawn of the 20th century, a lesser-known yet profoundly significant conflict unfolded in the archipelago of the Philippines, setting the stage for a brutal and contentious struggle between the nascent American superpower and the Filipino people yearning for independence. The Philippine-American War, spanning from 1899 to 1902, was not merely a military confrontation, but a profound moral and ideological battle that would define the identities and futures of both nations involved. This war, emerging on the heels of colonial exploitation and amidst the fervent cries for freedom, serves as a critical lens through which we can examine themes of imperialism, resistance, and the painful pursuit of national sovereignty. In the chapters that follow, we delve into the origins, major events, and enduring impacts of this pivotal conflict, exploring how aspirations for liberty were met with the harsh realities of an emerging global power asserting its dominance overseas. Through this narrative, we aim to shed light on the complex dynamics of power, struggle, and resilience that shaped not just the Philippine archipelago, but also the contours of international relations in the 20th century. The Philippine-American War, which erupted in 1899, was a pivotal and tumultuous conflict marking a significant chapter in both Philippine nationalism and American imperial history. This narration will explore the causes, major events, and lasting implications of the war, reflecting on the dreams and devastations it brought to the Filipino people. The roots of the conflict can be traced back to the broader canvas of colonial ambition and the fervent desire for independence. For over 300 years, the Philippines had been under Spanish rule, a regime marked by economic exploitation and often harsh religious and governmental administration. The Filipino people, inspired by a growing sense of nationalism and led by figures such as José Rizal and later Emilio Aguinaldo, sparked the Philippine Revolution in 1896. However, the scenery of liberation changed dramatically in 1898 when the Spanish-American War unfolded. The United States, emerging as a new power on the global stage, defeated Spain and took control of several of its colonies, including the Philippines. Initially, many Filipinos were optimistic, viewing Americans as potential allies who could help them achieve their independence. This hope was embodied in the interactions between Filipino revolutionaries and American forces, which were initially cooperative. But as the Spanish ceded the Philippines to the United States in the Treaty of Paris in December 1898, without the consultation or consent of the Filipinos, disillusionment quickly set in. The aspirations for independence were betrayed, setting the stage for conflict. On February 4th, 1899, just outside Manila, an encounter between Filipino and American soldiers sparked the Philippine-American War. Emilio Aguinaldo, the self-proclaimed president of the First Philippine Republic, led the Filipino forces. Unlike traditional wars that pitched linear formations against each other, this conflict was characterized by guerrilla tactics from the Filipino side and a brutal counterinsurgency campaign by the Americans. The war extended across Luzon, Visayas, and parts of Mindanao, with both sides committing acts that would be considered atrocities by today's standards. The American forces, under leaders such as General Arthur MacArthur, employed a strategy that included reconcentration policies, where civilians were forcibly relocated into designated zones to isolate the guerrillas. This resulted in significant civilian suffering and casualties. Meanwhile, Filipino guerrillas, although significantly outgunned and lacking in resources, managed to sustain a prolonged resistance, inspired by a fervent desire for independence and sovereignty. The war officially ended on July 2, 1902, with the capture of Aguinaldo and the proclamation of an American victory. However, sporadic resistance continued for several years. The aftermath of the war was profound. It resulted in the deaths of over 4,200 American and over 20,000 Filipino combatants, with civilian casualties estimated in the hundreds of thousands, mostly due to disease, famine, and violence. The war had a lasting impact on the Philippines and the United States. For Filipinos, the conflict is remembered as a tragic episode in their long struggle for independence, which was not achieved until 1946 after World War II. The war also left a legacy of mistrust towards foreign intervention and a strengthened sense of national identity. For the United States, the conflict marked one of its first major overseas imperial ventures, shaping its policies and its self-image as a global power. The war also sparked significant domestic debate about the role of the United States in the world and the moral implications of its overseas expansions. The Philippine-American War was not only a conflict of arms, but also a clash of ideals and aspirations. It tested the boundaries of liberty, sovereignty, and national identity, leaving a legacy that continues to influence Philippine-American relations and the historical narratives of both nations to this day.